Hello, I'm Erin Davidson, and this is my experience as a girl with autism in mainstream schooling. My experience in school was difficult. Everyone would trigger my anxiety and sensory overload me, but my mask did not show that. I do not have control over my mask. It could be on or off without even my awareness. Masking hid everything true about me. It helped me avoid awkward situations and difficult social situations where people would question my weirdness. I could use learnt behaviours and emotional expressions to appear to fit in. However, like most women and girls who mask, this was at the cost of physical and mental exhaustion, and left me every day confused by a world I did not understand and crushed my self-esteem and confidence. Peers and staff alike did not see the truth in how I was feeling. Even when I managed to articulate I needed help, it was snubbed by staff who would state I was fine and looked okay. No help would come. Even when my parents expressed my difficulties and highlighted why I did not attend school or stay more than the first period, still no help. My parents heard, "But she's fine here." I could look completely calm in a classroom when in reality it felt like I was suffocating in a tiny space, drowning, complete panic consuming me. I, among many other autistic women, do not express emotions the same way as other people and struggle to understand them. Donaldson's gave me an opportunity to take a written piece I created whilst angry and overwhelmed after school. When I was 14, this was meant to be a big look at what I go through to the school. However, just like many others like me, the school failed to understand and acknowledge the reality of my experience, and nothing changed. Some years later, Donaldson's referred to the written piece in a meeting with my parents. They suggested I do something with it. First was a big blog, then was a comment strip. But as more people read over this, more suggestions came in, and eventually we settled on a platform that interests me: animation. Starting the project in 2019, lasting several months, the animation, now named A Walk in My Shoes, was launched at the Scottish Parliament in 2020. Before playing the video, I would like to acknowledge those who helped me make it happen: the Donaldson's Trust, the John and Lorna Wing Foundation, Muckle Hen and Ruth Moyes.
I saw myself dealing with it all on my own. I feel like the walls are closing in on me. I convinced myself to do what I've always done: walk through the pain, deal with it silently. I start to tremble, my eyes starting all over the place. I begin to struggle to breathe. I'm doing all I can. Again, I was all alone. I had to push through and get to class.
Can you tell me about how you felt when you were walking to school in the morning?
There was dread, fear. I was really shaky, and I'd always get kind of hyper aware of everything that was around me. So I'd be really distracted by everything I walked past and every little kind of movement.
What led up to you feeling that sense of dread and fear as you approached school?
Maybe the fact that I was getting closer to it. I think it got worse. I think I was just kind of oh no. Everything just kind of crashed down and there was this huge weight on you. There's always going to be something really busy going on. Whether people were in the classes already or not, there was always somebody else in the corridors, and the corridors weren't exactly huge. I think it was kind of claustrophobic as well. The walls would always feel like they were kind of closing in, and I always felt like everyone around me would be staring at me, and I was kind of hyper aware still, and just be aware of everything that was happening around me, and that could get really overwhelming. It would definitely trigger my anxiety to like a whole other level, and I would get very shaky, and I would hold on to inhaler, because often when I panicked it would trigger an asthma attack, so inhaler was kind of important. So being trapped in a room was kind of like being trapped in like a cage with a whole bunch of things that like really scare you surrounding you. In busy corridors, I would try and make my way through the crowd and towards the wall. And then I would just kind of back up against the wall until the crowd passed and try and keep to myself. Withdrawing meant less attention, and the least attention I got, the more I felt okay. I think they would just see me as calm and trying to do my work or focusing, and not really see that I am struggling.
So you can see them,
Yeah, but they can't see me.
but they can't see you.
Yeah.
And how did you describe that?
One-way mirror.
So it feels like
A one-way mirror. I can't speak. Oh, jeez. It's kind of like being a ghost, I feel like. Like, I can see everything happening around me, but they really can't see me. And they're like pushing into you and crowding around you and thing, and I'm just kind of there, but not there. So yeah, ghost. I think in lessons, things that overwhelmed me was an overload of information. I would take in all the information from the whole thing, and everything would jump out at me because I think everything was really important, and I would never be able to just pick out certain facts. So I am taking in all the information from everything all the time. There is no filter. I used the distractions of fidgeting and doodling as a filter. I would focus on the distraction I got from pens, twisting pens through my fingers. I think the noise of the pen kind of rattling or hitting off the desk would be a good one for noise, and focusing on the movement I need to make to keep the pen spinning. At the end of the day, I'd be so exhausted and terrified that it would affect my sleep cycle. I'd fall asleep maybe out of exhaustion, but then I'd wake up before I should actually be going to bed. So I would maybe fall asleep really, really late and wake up early in the morning so I can get ready for school and be super tired, which would make the feeling of like dread and fear more intense, I guess, because I've had that lack of sleep. The feeling of dread I would have that night would be because the next day I knew I would have to repeat the same day again without anything changing, because other people or myself would have the lack of understanding or the lack of support that we all kind of needed, as well as myself. The feeling of isolation at school was, well, crushing, I think, because I could be surrounded by people and still be entirely alone.
I'm going to ask you a little bit about autism now. What does being autistic mean to you?
To me, being autistic means that I think a little differently than everybody else, and I may struggle with certain aspects. Like, I personally struggle with feelings, but I have like certain strengths that may be another person's weakness, and I can use that to help me. And I kind of like my hyper awareness, because let me overload me sometimes. It's a security blanket, because then I know what everything's happening, and I like to know things. I like to have an understanding of things.
If you could teach one thing about you and autism, what would it be?
If I could teach someone one thing about autism as a whole, it would be that nobody is exactly the same. There's no stereotypes, there's no specific things. It's like there's common things, and there's things that can be completely unique to a person, and to bunch all of us together in one box just doesn't make sense. And so it's a way to get, I think, everybody kind of, to understand someone, you need to know them first. To help them with strategies, you need to know them first. You need to know what gives them anxiety, what they like, what they don't like, what textures they like, what textures they don't like, and just like the subtle things that nobody else would notice, to just help bring out and to be aware of, so that you know when maybe they're struggling, or maybe when they're about to break.
Since its release, the video has been sent around schools, social workers, education services such as education psychologists, inclusion wellbeing teams, and community support groups. Northern Ireland now use the animation as part of their training for teachers, as well as in the students' curriculum. A Walk in My Shoes was also available on YouTube and has been viewed nearly 20,000 times alone, and I'm aware of many local families who have watched and shared how it has impacted them through word of mouth in CAMHS clinics or similar. On a personal level, the impact has also been comforting. I'm the eldest of 4 autistics in a mostly neurodiverse family. Family and friends who were in the same situation as I was in mainstream school have all related in some way, and that mutual struggle has strengthened our bonds, as we've discovered how our struggles aren't something that we have to deal with on our own. Some of the school and education services hope to use it, or do use it, as to improve awareness amongst staff and pupils, with my local council teams having suggested using it as an inclusion tool for pupils to help them be understood, accepted, and celebrated for their differences by their peers.